screaming metal, then a frozen, swallowing void. 1 second, Lena Reed was pressed against the helicopter's vibrating floor. The next, silence and a knife-edge darkness. The wind stole her breath, her scream, every coherent thought. Beside her, a dark shape tumbled silently. Ranger, her dog, her partner. Instinct overrode panic. She fought against the howling gale, twisting her body, stretching her bound hands toward him. Her fingers brushed fur. She grabbed, clenched, and pulled Ranger against her chest, curling her body around him. "I'm so sorry." Her numb fingers brushed against the hard, rectangular outline of the evidence drive, still secured in her inner pocket. She angled herself downward, a human shield against the earth rushing up to meet them. The treetops appeared as jagged black spears. Then impact. In a sturdy cabin nestled against a granite outcrop. Leo Hayes was trying to forget. At 44, his frame was still solid, but his blue eyes had lost their focus, forever fixed on some middle distance only he could see. At Bonds Unspoken, we believe every heartwarming story, whether between humans or their animal companion, deserves to be told and heard. If you agree, please like, share, and subscribe, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you can join us every time another Bond speaks louder than words. He'd traded his team for solitude, his rifle for woodworking tools. His only company was Hercules, a grizzled Malamute mix whose muzzle was frosted with gray. He lay by the stone hearth, one ear twitching at the moan of the storm. Leo was sanding the edge of a cedar table when Hercules' head lifted. A low rumble vibrated in his chest. Leo paused. He knew that sound. Then he heard it. The deep, irregular thump-thump-thump of helicopter rotors, distorted by the gale. No flight path came out here. Not in this. The sound changed, sliding overhead, then fading. A moment of quiet. Then a distant, sickening crunch thud that made the cabin's window panes rattle in their frames. It was the sound of something breaking that shouldn't break. Hercules whined. Leo was already moving. He grabbed his heavy parka, a flashlight, and the bolt-action rifle from above the mantel. The forest was a labyrinth of shadow. Hercules led, his nose to the ground. They pushed downhill for nearly half a mile. The evidence began to appear, shattered branches, a scar torn through the canopy. His light found the epicenter, a small crater of mangled pine, and in the center, a shape, human. A woman lay half-buried, curled protectively around a German shepherd. Her face was pale as marble, lips tinged blue. Her left shoulder was clearly dislocated, but it was a tension in her unconscious face that struck him, a grimace of pure will. The shepherd stirred, letting out a pained whimper. Its amber eyes found Leo's. It didn't growl. It just looked at him with defiance mixed with a plea. He checked the woman's neck for a pulse. Steady, faint, but beating. A badge gleamed in his light. Lena Reed, K-9 officer, county sheriff. This wasn't an accident. This was a problem that had just landed in his lap. He gathered them both and fought the storm back to the cabin. Inside, he became a field medic again. He cleaned Lena's head wound, braced her dislocated shoulder. When her eyes snapped open, clouded with shock, she gasped one word. "Ranger?" "By the fire. He's alive," Leo said. She passed out again, tears streaming. He turned to the dog, cleaning the deep gash on his leg. Ranger endured the sting without a sound. Leo sat back, wiping his brow. Then he heard it, the unmistakable thump-thump-thump of rotor blades. Returning, circling, searching. They were coming back. People who threw a woman and a dog from a helicopter didn't do it to check on the weather. They were coming to confirm the kill. The first sensation was pain. Lena surfaced from darkness slowly, her mind swimming through layers of confusion. She forced her eyes open. A rough-hewn log ceiling, a crackling fire. Memory returned in a sickening rush. The helicopter, the masked men, the fall. Ranger. Easy. Don't try to move. She turned her head. The man from the snow sat in a wooden chair beside the bed, steel gray beard, eyes the color of a winter lake. "Where's my dog?" He tilted his head toward the fireplace. "Right there. He hasn't left your side. Ranger lay on a thick blanket, bandage wrapped around his hind leg. An older, wolf-like dog lay curled close to him. A choked sound escaped her lips. Her hand, trembling, reached out toward the firelight where Ranger lay. "Thank you," she whispered. The man, Leo, gave a single nod. "You're Lena Reed, K-9 officer." He leaned forward. "The people who put you in that snowbank came back. About an hour after I brought you in. They're looking." A cold that had nothing to do with the mountain seeped into Lena's bones. Silas Rourke didn't make mistakes. He cleaned them up. "They'll keep looking," she said, "until they find proof." Who's they? She owed him the truth. "My unit found crates in a warehouse. Military-grade hardware, prototype rifles, equipment that shouldn't exist outside a locked armory." The manifest led back to a private contractor named Silas Rourke. Leo's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. Rourke left the service under a cloud, whispers of off-book interrogations, weapons deals with militias. I found a digital ledger, payments to traffickers, corrupt officials, and a column for asset retirement. That's me. When I copied that ledger, I triggered my own retirement plan. The men in the helicopter, Rourke's, his cleaners, a fall from that height in a storm, tragic accident, case closed. Her eyes darted to Ranger, but now he has a loose end. He'll send a ground team. As if summoned, Hercules lifted his head and emitted a low growl, staring at the door. Ranger's ears pricked forward. Leo was on his feet in one fluid motion. He moved to the window, peering into the darkness. He stood there for a full minute. "They're already here," he said. The careful caregiver was gone. In his place was a man with a predator's stillness. "We have to move. Now!" Her injured shoulder screamed in protest at the thought of moving. Stay and be a stationary target, or trust a stranger. She met Leo's eyes. "I can walk." He was already pulling a heavy pack from a closet, stuffing it with supplies. "Can you walk if you're supported?" She gritted her teeth. "Yes." He opened a trap door in the floor, revealing a narrow passage descending into the earth. "Down you go." Hercules nosed away. As she lowered herself into the darkness, Leo snuffed out the oil lamps. The hunters had already arrived. The tunnel was a throat of frozen earth. They moved in single file, Hercules leading, Lena in the middle, Leo pulling the trap door shut behind them. His red-filtered lantern cast a hellish glow. After 20 minutes, the tunnel ended at a crude wooden door. They spilled out into a shallow ravine, sheltered by snow-laden pines. The storm had gentled. The world was a monochrome trap under a sliver of moon. Every shadow could hide a hunter. "We have maybe 90 minutes before they find the tunnel exit," Leo said. "We make the land lie for us." Miles away, at the impact site, Vernon Cade knelt in the wreckage. In his late 50s, he was raw-boned with a face like saddle leather and one milky, blind eye, a souvenir from a grizzly. His good eye, pale blue, missed nothing. "She's alive," he grunted. "Dog, too. Someone carried her out." He pointed eastward, the wrong way. Leo's false trail. Back in the ravine, Leo was a sculptor of shadows. He showed Lena how to sweep their tracks, how to break branches in misleading directions. He strung nearly invisible trip wires between trees. "They'll see the wire, think trap," he murmured. "Fear is a better weapon than a bullet out here." But would fear be enough against men who were paid not to feel it? He found a rocky overhang. "We rest here. 5 minutes." Lena watched him scan the tree line. "You've done this before." "A long time ago, in warmer places." He finally looked at her. "When they come, you stay behind cover with Ranger. Your job is to survive. Mine is to make that possible." Hercules' head jerked up. Ranger let out a soft, tense woof. Leo killed the lantern. Absolute darkness and silence. Then, the faintest crunch of a boot on crusted snow. 2 dark figures materialized from the trees, moving in tactical crouch. Night vision gear made them look like insects. The lead mercenary's boot hit Leo's tripwire. He froze, laser sight sweeping the trees. A shot came from behind them. A third man, flanking. Snow exploded near Lena's head. Chaos erupted. Leo fired. A sharp crack. One dark shape cried out. Ranger, triggered by the threat, launched himself at the second mercenary, raising his rifle toward Leo. Ranger, no! Lena screamed. The man swung his rifle, but it connected with a sickening thud crack of polymer against skull. Ranger yelped, crumpling. Red rage flooded Lena. She lunged forward, grabbing a jagged rock. The mercenary turned too late. She brought the rock down on his weapon arm. Something gave. He dropped the rifle. Leo yanked her backward, firing twice toward the tree line. Get the dog. She scrambled to Ranger, who was struggling to rise, dazed but alive. Leo provided covering fire, pulling them deeper into the ravine. Hercules lead. They ran, stumbled, crawled. The ravine narrowed, then ended at a sheer rock face. A dead end. Leo shoved aside frozen ivy, revealing a narrow vertical crack. Up. It leads to the ridge. Now! He half pushed, half lifted Lena into the fissure. She braced her back against one wall, her feet against the other, and began a desperate shuffle upward into darkness. The rock chimney was a crushing embrace. Lena climbed with desperate strength, each push sending lightning through her shoulder. After an eternity, she hauled herself onto a flat, wind-scoured ledge. They were on a high ridge overlooking a vast, moonlit valley. About 50 yards ahead stood the twisted skeleton of an old radio mast. There, Lena whispered. Can you call out? It's our only play. They half ran across the exposed ridge. Leo dropped his pack and connected cables to the mast's ancient terminals. His hands worked frantically. Then shadows detached from the rocks near the chimney. 3 figures. Among them, the lumbering shape of Croft, and walking with arrogant, unhurried stride, Silas Rourke himself. Rourke's voice cut through the wind. A clever false trail. Hayes, but Cade here can track a ghost. The raw-boned tracker stepped forward, his good eye locked on the disturbed snow at the chimney's base. Leo flipped the transmit switch. Static screeched. Mayday, mayday. Emergency traffic. Officer down. Hostile pursuit. Grid reference. A shot rang out. Sparks flew off the metal mast. Leo kept transmitting, finishing the coordinates. Another shot punched through the radio's casing. The static died. Rourke stepped into the open. Gray eyes reflected the starlight, empty as a shark's. A for effort, Hayes. But all you've done is pick a prettier gravesite. Leo rose to his full height. It's over, Rourke. They heard the call. A garbled transmission from a dead zone. Rourke smiled. By the time anyone deciphers it, you'll be frozen statues. He looked at Lena. Just give me the officer. Hayes, you can walk away. You made it my fight when you brought your garbage into my valley. Rourke's smile vanished. He nodded to Croft. Everything happened at once. Croft fired. Leo was already moving, shoving Lena behind cover. He returned fire, making Croft duck. Ranger burst from behind cover, not for Croft, but straight for Rourke. He slammed into Rourke's chest, jaws snapping. Lena saw Vernon Cade swing his rifle toward the struggling pair. She threw herself into him, knocking his aim skyward. Near the edge, Rourke pistol-whipped Ranger. The dog yelped, grip loosening. Rourke raised the pistol point blank. A single, thunderous shot echoed. Rourke jerked, surprise on his face. A dark bloom appeared on his shoulder. Leo stood in the open, rifle smoking. But the move cost him. Croft fired twice. The second struck Leo's thigh. He grunted but stayed upright. Rourke, clutching his shoulder, kicked Ranger, sending him sliding toward the precipice. His claws screeched against bare ice, carving frantic, futile marks as he slid toward the drop. No! A raw, animal snarl tore from Leo's throat. He forgot the bullet in his leg, forgot the other guns, and charged not as a soldier, but as a man toward a falling friend. Vernon Cade raised his rifle at Leo's exposed back. A gray blur shot from behind cover. Hercules slammed into Cade with a snarling leap. They went down in a whirl of fur and snapping teeth. Lena crawled toward Ranger, half over the edge. She grabbed his harness. "I've got you." At the cliff's edge, Leo reached Rourke. Raw, brutal. Leo caught his arm, drove a fist into the gunshot wound. Rourke screamed. Leo wrapped him in a crushing embrace and slammed him down onto frozen rock. A short, sharp punch to the jaw. Rourke went limp. Leo collapsed to one knee, blood soaking through his pant leg. Then a new sound. A distant, rhythmic thump-thump-thump, growing louder. Not Rourke's helicopter. The deep, authoritative beat of a larger aircraft. A dazzling searchlight speared down, sweeping across the ridge. Federal agents. Drop your weapons. The cavalry had arrived. The rescue helicopter filled the air with sound. Lena clung to Ranger, who had pulled himself back onto the ledge. Agents fast roped down, securing the scene. One approached Lena. "Officer Reed? Medical is on the way. We have a vet on standby for your partner." The word safe and partner loosened something deep inside her. A sob finally broke free, shaking her entire body. The tension that held her together for days dissolved, leaving her boneless against the gurney. Her gaze found Leo. Medics were applying pressure to his wound. He was sitting up, pale but alert. Their eyes met. He gave a single, slow nod. "We made it." The hospital light was soft and yellow. Lena's ribs were wrapped, her shoulder properly set. A knock came at the door. Leo stood in the doorway, leaning on a crutch. Hercules sat at his side. "They said you were awake." He limped in. "Ranger?" "The vet just left. Stitches, mild concussion, dehydration. But he's going to be fine. They brought him a steak." Leo's smile widened. He earned it. Silence settled between them. Rourke was in custody, singing to lessen his sentence. The ledger was safe. "What will you do?" Lena asked. "Go back to the cabin?" Leo looked at the distant peaks through the window. For a while. But the quiet might feel different now. Less like peace, more like waiting. "You don't have to wait alone," Lena said. "What you did, you reminded me what the fight looks like. The loyalty." She glanced toward the door. "We owe you everything." "You don't owe me a thing. You fought for your partner. That's a debt the world already owes you." "When the testimony is done," Lena said, "maybe Ranger and I could visit. When the snow melts." He'd like to properly thank Hercules. Leo's smile reached his winter blue eyes. He'd like that. The cabin's got room. He turned and left, Hercules padding beside him. Lena sank back into the pillows, her mind quiet for the first time in weeks. The fear was gone. In its place was profound, weary gratitude and the glowing ember of connection, warm as a hearth fire, forged in the heart of a storm. If stories like this touch your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Bonds Unspoken. Every click helps us share more incredible moments that celebrate the bond between humans and animals. And be sure to turn on the notification bell so you never miss a story that reminds us what true loyalty feels like.